Just double checking we are live. If you bear with me a second, everyone, I'm having some trouble getting everyone on the screen. If you give me 2 seconds, I'm just going to drop out. Hello. Bear with me. I'm just going to text Russ back. Right. Apologies for the technical difficulties, everyone that joined in on the show just there. StreamYard, doing these remote streams, always causes issues, but we are here back with another week of the wrap up with myself, Jamie Talks. This week, I'm massively outnumbered. I've got a bunch of Arsenal guys coming on in their own right. I'm going to bring them in now. We have Nick Francis coming in, and we have Chris coming in as well. Say hello to the stream, everyone.
What's good? We're here.
We're here. Now, it's, as I said, I am outnumbered with you guys today. We've got a huge game this weekend. How are you feeling as an Arsenal fan going into this?
Who's starting?
Go whenever you're ready, guys.
I'll go, yeah. I'm excited still. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm very excited. I'm very confident. Do you know what I'm saying? This. I know I already saw some of the things that your fans have been tweeting. We've got no winning free and all the rest of it. Do you know what I'm saying? But there's something about when we play teams close to each other. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, we get a little bit nervous. We get a little bit shaky. But there's a team that's had the judge over us when we played them back to back that we hadn't beat for at least 3 games as well. And that's Liverpool. And we saw what happened on the weekend. Do you know what I'm saying? So we're not afraid of you no more, bro. We're not afraid of you. Like, this is the first season in God knows how many years, and maybe Chris can tell me, other Arsenal fans can tell me, we've beat Manchester City in the league, we've beat Liverpool in the league. These things don't happen. Do you know what I'm saying? However, we can't look past you, innit? We can't get too excited and look past you. Like, I respect you still. You man did us a big favor. You gave us Teklan Rice. Do you know what I'm saying? And he's bossing it. You know what I mean? But I'm confident for this game. If we can beat Liverpool, if we can beat Man City, we should feel confident, 7, 8 out of 10 confident playing anybody. Do you know what I'm saying? It's just another game, another London derby. Do you know what I'm saying? We have a very good record in London derbies as well. Not necessarily against you, man, but in general, we do. Do you know what I mean? So not even a long trip. Man's here, man's local.
Okay, so before we get into, build up for the weekend then, I always like to start this with, how's your week going, guys?
Good.
Mine's going great, especially the fact that Nigeria were through to the AFCON finals. So makes it even better, man. Entertaining game, a very entertaining game, but yeah, just got that bit better.
Is that one of the worst penalty shootouts you've ever seen?
No, I've seen worse. Do you remember our pre-season? I don't know, Nick, if you remember this, our pre-season penalty shootout that we had.
Yes, yeah.
It was against, but it was horrible.
In America.
Yeah, I think it was in America, but they had it. It was horrible.
I think it might have been the MLS All Stars or something.
Yes, I think it was. Even though we won the game, we still had to do like a penalty shootout.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And Carl Hein was in goal.
Yeah.
So yeah. If you haven't watched it, please. AFCON is one of the most entertaining tournaments ever, to be honest.
Yeah. Do you think Nigeria are going to do it in the final?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. One thing you'll know is that anyone who knows like a Nigerian, just a Nigerian in general, us and humility, we don't mix well together. It's like milk and oil. We don't go well together. Even if we're crap, we're gonna make it sound like we're great. So yeah, from the beginning I was confident, but now I'm even more confident that we could do it. So, yeah.
Amazing. So I'm rooting for Nigeria in the final then. Who are they playing against? I'm spacing on the other finalist.
Well, we don't know at the moment because it's still DR Congo and Ivory Coast. And I don't know how Ivory Coast are still in this tournament, but they're there.
Well, do you know what? As a West Ham fan, I got a ride from my guy Masuaku.
Oh yeah.
Like he did for Chelsea. You know, he's not at the club anymore, but I got to back him. So I might have to be a Congo fan in the final if they get there.
I thought you would have been rooting for Ghana originally because of Kudus.
Exactly, but they're not there, my friend. They're not there.
Was you happy when Ghana got knocked out? You said, yeah, he's back with us now.
No comment.
No Shout out to the little West Ham fan. If you know, you know.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I thought I'd start this off. Obviously, like you're both, as you can tell, big Arsenal fans. And for anyone in the chat, we're doing a big build-up this week. And I wanted to compare and contrast our seasons so far. Now, I wanted to ask you guys plainly, out of West Ham and Arsenal, when you bring in expectations and everything like that alongside, who do you think's had a better season so far?
That comes down to expectations, isn't it? What were your expectations for West Ham? Do you know what I mean? That's really what it comes down to. I think better season, could probably argue West Ham. We're both where we should be. You man would have wanted to push for top 6 and push and keep the push for European football going. And we wanted to be competing for the title. So we're both where we would want to be. Do you know what I'm saying? So
yeah. I mean, I'm over the moon. I think a lot of West Ham fans would have like kind of questions about the style of football that we play and how we get results and whatnot. But as a West Ham fan sitting 7th in the league at the moment, 6th at Christmas and whatnot, it's very hard for me to complain. I'm very happy. We're still in Europe and whatnot.
That's outrageous. That's Jamie. I love you, but that's outrageous. That's outrageous. What history or CV do you man have to be talking about playing attractive foot? Where's this?
Come on, man. Like I'm not one of those fans. I'm saying a lot of West Ham fans would say that. I'm a Moising guy. You won't hear any Moise slander.
Those men are crazy. It's a result. It's a results business. Do you know what I'm saying? It's a results business. Like if you're one of the big 6 clubs, then fair enough, innit? But even then, like even when Tottenham had Jose, man was saying, bro, just get results, get a trophy, please. And then the attractive football come later. We watched Pochettino play attractive football all the way to failure. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you man have got a trophy, a small European trophy, but it got a trophy still last season. No, listen, I respect.
Yeah.
I've said you man are European champions, innit? But man try banter me, do you know what I'm saying? But I said, I don't watch that, blood. But in a new age, like that.
Don't bring up those traumatic times, please.
The football has to come second to the performances, do you know what I'm saying? And I think in the Prem, we're quite spoiled. Do you know what I mean? There's teams that might play more attractive football. Brighton's known for playing attractive football. You man are above them. There's Wolves. There's some good teams that you lot above right now. Do you know what I'm saying? So you can't even really. Brentford's all the way down in 15th. You can't really complain. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so, just letting you know, whether it's a tin pot trophy like you called it, my friend, we got more.
I didn't call it that. I didn't call it. I said West Ham, they're European champions. Do you know what I'm saying?
Because this is the thing, we want to be respectful to West Ham, but when you say things like that, what are we going to start calling you? Westfield FC and things like that, and Central Line FC? Are we really going to do that now? We want to respect you guys.
Your fans boxing at the copper box after the game and that. It's all mad, bro.
Yeah, man. Yeah, exactly. That's us. We'll take that. I don't mind it, man.
The reason I don't banter you, man, is because if we win any type of European silverware, I don't care.
We're going to be the worst. We're the worst.
I'll be terrible. So that's why I'm building you man up in it, like in the process of us potentially winning them trophies in the future. So do you know what I mean? That's what it is.
For sure. I mean, I'll be deleting all my social accounts if Arsenal win anything, if I'm honest with you. So if you guys are unbearable, man. Yeah.
I forgot when we've done streams together. You're like, oh, Nick, I like you, but the rest of your fans, nah, man.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, well, as a West Ham fan, you asked me. Obviously, I'm super happy. And again, I don't find myself aligning with the Moyes out brigade or whatnot. I do flirt with the line at times where I find myself very frustrated with like tactical decisions and whatnot, but I never find myself coming to a point where I'm like, we need to get rid of this manager. What happens at the end of the season, I really don't know. But the reason I've always been Moyes out, quite frankly, is I don't know who does a better job, and I don't know who we can get that would do a better job, which is the most important thing. I mean, let's ask you guys. Obviously, you're going into this game. It's a huge game for you guys. I mean, how are you feeling about your season so far?
To be honest, I think if you was to speak to us before Sunday, it would have been saying that this season's been a bit of a roller coaster of emotions, and to some extent, you would feel like to some extent we were on such a high from last season, and I feel like Arsenal fans automatically went into this season with a form of entitlement or thinking because of what happened last season, it's automatically going to be the same. We're automatically going to win all of these London derbies. We're automatically, all of our our front four are all going to get 10 plus goals and things along those lines. And when we saw the first few games, I'll say the first 3 games were very unsatisfying. Partey at right back, the confusion of Havertz then playing as a left 8, and just the lack of fluidity. The key word that's always been is that fluidity and the lack of, compared to last season where you saw us in the first game at Palace where we were blitzing, we were looking crazy. Leicester, the 4-2 win, we were looking crazy. And I think for a lot of us, it's been a roller coaster. You've had those high moments, your Man United 3-1 win, the beating City with the Martinelli goal, even down towards Luton, the 4-3. But then you've had those confusing, frustrating moments. The 2-2 with Chelsea, the 2-2 with Tottenham, the 2-2 with Fulham. There's so many Desmonds that have been happening so far this season where it's been really frustrating, even down towards the other Fulham game where we lost, and to you guys where we lost, the Aston Villa game where we played so well, but we lost, the Newcastle game, we played so well, but we lost. And it's been those moments where we haven't been losing to the big 6 teams, which is weird because at this season, we have the best big 6 results. We haven't lost to a big 6 team yet, but London derbies, we've been crapping. We've drawn to Tottenham, we've drawn to Chelsea, we beat Crystal Palace, Palace. We beat Palace twice. Brentford, we just about got the 1-0 win. We lost to you guys.
Yeah,
it's been a bit of a roller coaster, but at the same time, it's made it that bit more interesting because it seems like one bad result could knock you down 2 or 3 positions or a position. Whereas compared to last season, where it was like the same 2 teams that were front foot in everything, and 3rd and 4th pretty much wrote itself by this time last season. So it's been, to conclude it's been interesting. It's been a very, very interesting season. I still don't think we're at our best. I still think there's a lot that needs to come from us. But I'm not sure if Nick, if you want to agree with this, if you're looking at amazing performances we've had this season, you could probably just about count it on one hand. If we're talking about Premier League performances, you can count it on one hand.
But you know what it is? A lot of the things that you mentioned about frustrations with Moyes, our fan base, not me personally, but our fan base have with Arteta as well. Like we are moving in the right direction. We're competing. We wanted to be competitive. Like when you got City in the league and their financial doping, no one can just go into the season and say we want to win the title. They're always favourites to win the title unless you dethrone them. Do you know what I'm saying? But some tactical decisions he does annoy me. Some running players into the ground annoys me. Some of the bringing players back from injury when they're not ready annoys me. But if we're sacking him tomorrow and going to get someone to win us this title with 15 games left, who does it? Who's available that could be better? So we're in a very similar place with regards to the relationship that we have with our manager. But the difficulty that we have is we made a marquee signing in the summer of even though Havertz was the big money signing, he's not the marquee signing. The marquee signing we were all excited about was Jiri and Timber, injured for the whole season. The back 4 should have been Timber, Tomiyasu, Saliba, Gabriel. That's most people's back 4. 2 of them injured. Then the midfield 3, you've got Rice, Partey, Ødegaard. We still have yet to see that midfield 3. And then the up front, Jesus, Saka, Martinelli, we still have yet to see that. So again, it's a 6 out of 10 season. We're competitive. We're creating good moments, good memories for the youngsters to go and whatever. But you're still looking at it as a building season, and next season, hopefully, I know Jamie's going to ask us what players we want to get in the summer, but you're still looking at it like, can we push, and next season maybe we can win the big trophies? Do you know what I'm saying? I personally think, because we've been so inconsistent, and it sounds like a wild shout, we stand more chance of winning the Champions League than we stand of winning the Premier League, because we struggle with consistency. I back our team more on a one-off game, not with no games extra to think about. Just this game now, today. Like Arteta said when he said, these next 10 games are cup finals. If you just give us a two-leg semi-final and a final, I actually back us more than to be more consistent than a City or a Liverpool over a 15-game period. And it's frustrating.
But what's more funny than it, because you say that, but we've been consistently good in the Champions League. The only one game you could say where we was bad was away at Lens.
And the brother that was balling out for us in the Champions League, Fabio Vieira, is injured as well. Yes. So we have mad injuries. Do you know what I'm saying? And then there's some stuff that's down to Arteta, because Havertz, I don't know where he fits into the team. What I do like about the progression of Arsenal is, you look at a team like West Ham, you think rough, rugged, aggressive. You look at a team like Arsenal and you think slick, pass and move football. But actually, we've shown, and everyone's laughed at us. I'm 30 years old, man, and I don't look it. I'm 30 and in most of my life, man have been laughing at me for being with a soft underbelly team. But when we stuck it on Newcastle, they didn't like it. When we stuck it on Liverpool, they didn't like it. So I'm liking the fact that we can do both. We can play football. Do you know what I'm saying? Everyone knows we can play football. But as soon as I see Havertz up top, number 9, I know it's about to get sticky. And the fact that we can do both is great. And again, I still feel we need a 9, we need an 8. But the fact that we have the players there to be tactically flexible, while we have 3 or 4 key players, at least 2 starters, in fact, 3 starters, I would say, at least 3 starters out injured for most of the season. When these guys come back, we'll be so tactically flexible. I'm confident going into next season. Apart from Partey, because I'm done with him. We got to move him on. But the rest of them,
that guy out of here.
I said it in the summer. I said it in the summer. Just move this guy on. But anyway, we are where we are. Do you know what I'm saying? But on his day and all that kind of on his day merchant. But listen, I'm confident with where we are at the moment.
So, what are your expectations for this season? Then, are you expecting like a title challenge? Do you
100%.
think?
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
It's looking like a 3-legged race at the moment. Obviously, with you guys, City and Liverpool. The Liverpool result for you guys obviously was huge, and you'll be looking to kind of capitalize on that momentum on the weekend against us on the weekend, of course. But where do you expect to sit at the end of the season? Because I wouldn't be surprised if I saw you guys 3rd. Because as much as an outsider looking in, I think you've taken strides in like the signing of Declan Rice to kind of bring some real leadership to the team, and you have less of a softer underbelly. But the age-old saying of Arsenal come down with the Christmas decorations has proven true, and has done for the last couple of years. What's going to be different this year, to the past couple of years, to kind of get you the extra step and really sustain that title challenge?
We ain't coming down with the Christmas decorations, because we were dead across Christmas. So it's not even like
horrible.
It's not even like we were on a run and then it's coming down, isn't it? Like what it comes down to is that we can beat. Like this is the first time since Arteta joined that I could say we could beat any team in the league on any day. Whereas in any other time when we've played City or we've played Liverpool, I'm like, bro, man for man, they are just better than us. Like they have a better manager, they have better players across the pitch. Then I edged them to win. I might have to try to I'm looking at us thinking, how can we win? But it's all a bit optimistic. Whereas now I feel like even if we finish 3rd, it has to be competitive. It's got to come down to less than 5 points. It's got to come down to close points, goal difference, fine margins, and areas that we can look at the season and go, cool, here's what we need to do. Because we know we went into January with ideas and rumors. There's still talk that we've signed Zubimendi. That should be done for the summer. There's all this, if that's true, I'm over the moon, but there's all this talk. Last January, we had, I know Mudryk looked like a bit of a flop, so is Caicedo, but we had targets that we wanted to get. We didn't get those guys. So we need to be making sure in the summer, really, I've said, to future-proof the club, it's not just about what we do on the pitch. It's about what we do off the pitch. What we do in the transfer window, we are awful at selling players. We have to sell players at maximum value. We have to be less emotional. If any player wants to leave, or if any big club comes in for these players, cool, but it's big money. And then we've got to put it back. So in terms of where we're going to be end of the season, within 5 points of the title is where I want to be. Because I feel like in the summer, with the kind of players that we're looking at, we can bridge that gap and go next season.
it's funny you say that. I mean, obviously, just going on the emotional standpoint with some of your players. One move that we were linked with West Ham were over the January transfer window, and it was actually shut down by the player, and I believe Mikel Arteta, was Emil Smith-Rowe.
Yeah.
For me, like I can understand the emotion that Arsenal fans have towards him, because he was the guy. He was the star man for a little while for you guys. He was the next up in the line, and down to injuries, and I think the emergence of Martinelli really has seen him kind of fall from grace a little bit. But as an Arsenal fan, do you not look at that and think, like, a 6-month loan, getting an Emil Smith-Rowe in like a top half Premier League team back to playing football? Do you not support that move? Because as a West Ham fan, I see it as a no-brainer, and we're taking a risk on that, to be clear.
It depends, because sorry, I know you want to come in, but just only because we've got injuries. We have no Partey, we have no Fabio Vieira. So if Fabio Vieira is there and he's balling out, then that's a different situation. So that would change things for me. But otherwise, I think a loan would have done him well for sure. He's done very well in loans. Do you know what I mean? Like, we know that, famously Arteta loaned him out to Huddersfield and said, you're not being loaned out for football purposes. You're being loaned out to grow as a person, to grow as a man. That's really where, as much as the injuries, it's the mental side of the game, and maybe that's indicative of coming up in Arsenal, where you don't have that necessarily that same mental toughness. But I wouldn't have been against that if our players were fit. Yeah, fair.
Just to ask, did he really do well in Germany?
No, he didn't do well in Germany. He did well at Huddersfield.
Okay, because
Germany didn't do well.
Because
that's tough though, man. You're asking like a 19-year-old to move to Germany, and that's, I mean, like, I would have been in the bars.
Hey man, Sancho.
That's what happened to Kai Havertz.
Yeah, but look at man talking about Sancho, bro. He balls out in Germany and he can't do it in the Prem. I'd rather have Smith.
Oh, but we know why.
That's what I'm saying. That's
a crap anyway. So that's not.
Man. I was going to say something, but I'm on Jamie's platform, so I ain't even going to say it. I'm saying some man ain't got the testicular fortitude for Premier League.
Of course. Just to say, with ESR and with a lot of our players, I think one key thing you mentioned, Nick, was that we need to remove the emotional attachment towards a lot of our players. The Haaland thing was cute. It was nice. But let's be realistic. We need valuable assets that we need to sell. So the likes of your Nelsons, where realistically you do well as the sub for those 10, 15 minutes at times, or occasionally if you get the 20 or 30s, then fine, no problem. But at this point, you're not challenging Saka's position in his place. The same way with Eddie Nketiah. Now, I know that our fan base is so split in between if he's good, if he's not. And at this point, you look at it and think the best thing for Nketiah is that you go to a mid-table team where you can get a run of games where you are the star guy. If you was to have an Nketiah at Brentford, if you was to have an Nketiah at Crystal Palace, an Nketiah, I would have said before, João Pedro, even at West Ham. Because, I'm saying no disrespect, he's better than Mikel Antonio. So, like, give him that run of games, I would say. So, we need to split this emotional attachment we have to so many players. Realistically, we know Ramsdale's going. Again, it's an emotional attachment we have towards him, but it's for the better of these players that some of them need to go. I thought ESR was here, one, because of Haaland, secondly, because of the injuries, but thirdly as well, because we need to fit our English quota. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like, we don't really have that many English players in our team as much.
That could be a part of it, but I don't think that we would have a player just for that. But I think that what you said about the Haaland tax, like, we need to maximize the Premier League tax as much as possible. You know what I'm saying, Reece Nelson, how much did you man buy Kudus for?
Isn't he like 40?
Yeah, 40 odd
Reece
million.
Nelson could have gone to Brighton for 35-40 million in the summer. We could have got Mohamed Kudus. Then you've got Saka, Martinelli, Kudus that can all play in all those positions. I don't care who goes where. Then we've got real fluidity. We've got someone that can come off the bench and make a real impact, etc., for the same money. The reality is, some of the assets that we build, man are talking about Kobe Mainoo and saying that he should be in the England team off of 2 good performances. So we need to, I know, but it's obviously United, but we need to do the same. We need to boost that Prem tax. If somebody comes in like Smith-Rowe and does 6 months of wavy ball, and someone's like 35-40 mil, safe, because we can pick up a German Smith-Rowe for 15 mil, bro. You know what I'm saying? So we need to ship them out. If we in the club know, like, we've been too loyal to players, you can go all the way back to the Wilshires and the Diabys and the Van Persies and all these kind of guys that we should have shipped on long time, but we stuck with them for too long to the detriment of our club. And actually, we need to be a little bit more ruthless. And I said the next 5 years of our club is not going to be how we buy. It's going to be about how we sell, especially with financial fair play cracking down on teams like us who haven't been making these mad breaches. But unfortunately, while the going was good, we didn't break all the rules that we should have done, like certain other clubs who will remain unnamed, like that. So, you know what I mean? That's the position we're in.
Well, do you know what? I look at when I see players like Reece Nelson, because Reece Nelson turned us down as well. And I can understand a player wanting to stay at his club, to whether it's for squad depth issues or whatnot, or wanting to fight for, a club that he's come up through. But then I also look at players like Joe Willock, for example, who obviously left Arsenal when he's gone on to Newcastle, and he's now, I know he hasn't played as much this season, but he was an important player for them last year. And I really think like players like an Nketiah, like a Reece Nelson could really thrive at that, that mid-table club. And, I'll make no bones about it. West Ham are obviously trying to bridge the gap and get as close to the top six as we can, but we're not there financially yet. And I feel like those players are never going to be good enough to be playing for like a Champions League team. So it disappoints me as like sometimes when I see like young players that aren't getting game time turning us down. I can understand it if it's to do with a homegrown quota or if it's because
let's call it what it is. It's football snobbery, isn't it? Do you know what I'm saying? It's top six, but sometimes, obviously I love Arsenal. I've been an Arsenal fan all my life, but sometimes I wish I didn't. Like sometimes I look at the passion of some smaller clubs. I'm not talking about West Ham. I'm talking about like lower league clubs, a League One club.
Town even.
Sometimes I look at that and I'm like, bro, this is insane. The level we have a good community when I'm at games, but the level of community, and it is a snobbery. And sometimes the reality is of the top table, there's been times where we've been at like the bottom of the top table. Do you know what I mean? Where we're trying to get players from Barca, Madrid, and they're like, Arsenal, you guys were someone that, so I understand like what you're saying, and it is frustrating. Do you know what I mean? Like to see players, there's so many players that don't maximize their careers. Obviously, I do boxing content as well. So John Ryder just retired, slightly off topic. But when you look at someone like John Ryder, who retired from boxing this week, you think he maximized his career. He never won a world championship, but he did the best he could with his career. And you're looking at certain players. I was watching us against Luton the other day. Forest, not in the Forest. Callum Hudson-Odoi come off the bench. I was like, brother, he could have been at Bayern.
You could have been us. You could have been with us.
He could have been at Bayern. Not even Arsenal. He could have been at Bayern Munich, bruv. Guaranteed titles. And you chose not to do that. And then it's bugged. And now you're at Forest. And now,
but Nick, I think the reason why a famous Arsenal player once said, when he got his move to Turkey and he was released from Arsenal, he said, how am I going to move to girls now? Once he put that picture up of him having his transfer, that guy was Emmanuel Frimpong. I think a lot of players, they use it for ego. They use this for ego purposes of where they can say, I play for X team, I play for Y team. Now, Joe Willock, we saw that it's actually helped his career a lot, down to even Alex Iwobi, where it's helped his career as well.
Yeah.
Let's say, for instance, someone like Kudus. Kudus could have easily, remember, we were rumored with Kudus. Kudus has decided to go to West Ham to not only familiarize himself with the Premier League, but also go to somewhere where he can learn, where there's not too much pressure. Sometimes we've seen with a lot of players where the badge outweighs the player and they start overthinking things too much because there's so much pressure that comes with that badge and with that fan base. And let's be honest, as Arsenal fans, we will love you to the depths, but also we will scrutinize you if you're crap. We will embarrass you.
Everything you just said is why I didn't want Ivan Toney. Everything you just said is why I said I don't want Ivan Toney. This is a brother that's come from League One. He's come from League One. I'm damn near a League One player. Yeah, he's come from League One and he's on yachts with Gal talking about F Brentford and that, And it's like you said, like, to me, if you're on a yacht and you're a Prem baller, you should be the source in it. Like the gal should support whatever team you're supporting. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that. Like you shouldn't be following her. That's a sideman thing. But to be saying that and come from like our fans, if he was on a yacht of a gal and said F Arsenal, our fans are not violent. They're not violent. That's one thing. Our fans are not violent, but they will find where he lives. They'll egg his house or something. They'll 100% find where he lives. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I don't want him anywhere near our squad, near our dressing room for that type of purposes. But it's football snobbery and it's ego. Do you know what I'm saying? You man are professional football players. Like you should be able to move to Gal anywhere. I know man that aren't, but look at Jamie. I mean, Jamie can move to Gal anyway. I can move to Gal anyway. Come on, man. We can all do this, man. It's not.
I'm very my girlfriend's watching. I'm very happy.
I know you got a missus. I know, but I'm just saying you can. That's why I said you can. I didn't say you do. I said you can.
But right. Well, bringing it back to the show,
man.
Bring it back to the show. I'm going to bring in my guy Scully here, and I'm going to ask you guys. Well, say hi to Scully. Everyone in the chat.
What's going on?
Scully, I'm going to ask you first, mate. Who's out of West Ham and Arsenal so far this season? Who's had a better transfer window?
Our January transfer window didn't exist.
No, I mean,
no one did.
If you bring the January and the summer transfer window, so we go the whole season, are you happy with the business that you've done?
I actually am. We're doing better at beating big teams. So last year we won every London derby. This year we're not doing as well in London derbies, but we've beat all of our top 6 rivals. We've done better at every top 6 game, which, no offense to the London derbies, but that's slightly more important. Like, we need to take points off the people who are trying to win titles from us. I think we could have done with another forward. I would have loved, like Chris just said, we were linked with Kudus. I thought we were going to go for him. Obviously, we've got Havertz. Havertz is not amazing, but he's been useful in big games. Like, I'm not going to lie. I was there at the Community Shield. He helped us win that game. He helped us win against City. He helped us win against Liverpool. Like, I can see his uses in those big games. We just need to be more flexible in how we use him. Let's stop using him as an 8 and only bring him on as a 9 against big teams, because then he's so. He has a specific profile that just works beautifully. Knock the ball up to him. Even if he doesn't win the duel, we're getting the second ball, run onto it. He might fluff the shot. He's not a clinical striker right now, but someone's gonna be there at Saka. He's gonna clean up. And it sounds stupid, but I'll be real. We weren't winning those games. We weren't close to Liverpool and City last season. Like, as much better as we were, and we were blowing away every other team, we still went to these big games and we lost our ass. Let's be real. Like, we are going there, we're performing, we're taking points. So I'm happy with it. Obviously, Declan Rice, by the way.
Yeah.
Quality. I don't want to rub it in, but he is. If I had 20 million to give you, I'd give it to you. I don't care. I'll give it to you.
Well, maybe I should ask you guys then, like, as outsiders, like, when you look at West Ham and the business that we've done, what do you think as rival fans?
Okay, can I lead this one, please?
Yeah, of course.
All right. I rate West Ham so much. I rate you guys so much.
Tim Steidman. Yeah,
I rate you guys so much because this is the history of West Ham. West Ham have always been able to capitalize and bring a player that's made every other Premier League team say, huh? How did you get them? This doesn't make sense. We can go back towards Carlos Tevez. Towards those days, we could go there and say, huh? How did you get them? I think everyone looks at Paqueta, firstly. I mean, we don't know what's going to end up happening, and I hope for you guys' sake that everything ends up going well. But we look at him and think, yeah, you should have been at City. You definitely should have been at City. I don't understand why you're playing right next to Stratford Westfield. It doesn't make sense. The same way with Kudus as well, that we look at him and think, okay, quality player, even down towards the resurgence of Zuma. That you guys have a quality team. I like the way you guys do recruit. And as well, I think I credit David Moyes for his personal man management for specific players and the development of those players as well. I know it's very split in the West Ham fan base where some of you guys are Moyes in, Moyes out, but I do think he has really good man management with specific players, with the development. Should I say player development, should I say? But yeah, I really, really rate West Ham. I think you guys took the Declan Rice money and spent it very well. And the proof is in the pudding. Last season, you was looking at possibly a relegation battle where you threw all your eggs in the Conference League and, it benefited you. But this year now, you're looking at what? Top 6? Looking at Europa League space.
I mean, top 6, I think, would be a huge stretch for us. I really do. I worry for West Ham after our January business, where we let 3 squad players go and only really brought in Calvin Phillips, who hasn't played enough football over 18 months.
Horrible, by the way.
horror debut.
He's looking horrible right now.
I am really happy with the signing of Calvin Phillips. I should say that. I think, we're all super fickle as football fans. We all forget. And I think, you only have to go back 18 months to see the kind of level of player that Calvin Phillips was. There's a reason he went for 40 odd million. There's a reason, he was starting in a Gareth Southgate side and getting, one of the players of the tournament in the Euros and whatnot. So I do have hopes that he can come good. And if he's like, 50% of the player that he was at Leeds, I think we could have a good midfield option for us. What do you guys think, though? Obviously, you paid us the big money for Declan Rice, and we've gone out there and picked up players. And I think the biggest compliment that I can give the West Ham recruitment team this year is that we haven't really missed Declan Rice, and he's a generational talent. You guys are seeing that this season, not only for his talents on the pitch, but his talents off the pitch.
I don't think you've wasted that money at all. I'm very happy with Rice. I rate him so much. I rated him when he was at West Ham. I'm so excited he's in an Arsenal shirt, but I'll be real. Calvin Phillips, Chris knows. Me and Chris were talking about it in our group chat. Yeah. I think he's a baller. I think he's a baller, and I do just think it's a question of time. I agree with Lawrence, who's saying give him some time, because it's one of those where when you don't play in ages, you're just not going to be up to scratch. I think when he gets there, that could be a crazy midfield. Paqueta, Ward-Prowse, who I've been saying for ages, the fact that you got Ward-Prowse is insane. He walked into so many top 6 teams. He could have, I'm not gonna lie, Ward-Prowse would have done a better job in midfield than Havertz. He would have done 100%. In that left 8, he would have done a better job. He definitely walked into United easily. I'm not even being funny. He 100% does. You're telling me Ward-Prowse at this current stage, yeah? Obviously they're winning right now, but you're telling me he couldn't get a game at Chelsea today in 2024? Are you telling me he can't? He can, man. He's an absolute baller. You got Kudus there, like he said. It's just a great arrangement of players. Zuma never really fell off for me. He just obviously had awful PR, but again, to Chris's point, the way Moyes handled that was amazing. He said, listen, he's going to put his head down. He's going to work. He's sorry about it. And at the end of the day, he's still our player. And he let him play himself back into form and back into good races. So the worst thing that could have happened is you sold Declan Rice, clearly your franchise player, and you spent it on awful squaddies that are just not going to make it. You have not done that. You absolutely have not done that. It's been fantastic. So, yeah.
I think Rice is so good. He covers 2 positions for us. You guys have almost bought 3 players to cover him. You've got 2 defensive midfielders now, because you've got Edson Alvarez, having started the season quite well. You've got Calvin Phillips now. Obviously, you've got James Ward-Prowse. But I think for some of the smaller clubs, I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but the clubs don't have the same financial power as Arsenal and some of the big 6. It's always such a gamble. If you spend that Rice money wrong, you'll spend 4 or 5 years trying to right the ship again off the back of that. We've seen that happen as well. And I like some of the stuff that he's doing, man. Mavropanos scored that goal against us, and I was always a fan of him as well. Didn't celebrate, but you want Premier League proven defenders. That's going to cost you 40, 50, 60 million pounds. So what do? You go and find a player that didn't quite cut the mustard, but has gone somewhere else, starting to apply his trade, has some of that Premier League experience, and is on the up and up. And actually, we're getting this guy at a cut price, 20 million. Do you know what I mean? You're going to get James Ward-Prowse. You're rating the best set piece taker in the league. He's gone down to the Championship. We rate them 35 million. That's the deal. So you're just spending that money really, really wisely. And there isn't one. What we've done wrong is that with Havertz, he's under so much flack because he was 65 million pounds. If Kai Havertz was 35 million pounds, we wouldn't be having the same conversations that we are. For 35 million, we could have bought another player. So
no, the money is a huge factor.
Can I disagree? No. I'm so sorry to interrupt you, Nick. The reason why I say that, I'm so sorry to interrupt. Fabio Vieira was 35 mil.
Yeah.
Fabio Vieira, from the first season, we looked at him and said, I don't think this is gonna work.
No, but Fabio Vieira we bought as a youngster on the up and up. Like Kai Havertz is a Champions League. Fabio Vieira has never played in the top 5 league. Kai Havertz has played for Germany. He's won a Champions League. He's been at Chelsea. Like this, it's a whole different profile of player. I think what we did wrong was what you guys have gone out and done has got specialists. You've got Kudus, who does what he does. You've got a set piece taker who James Ward-Prowse. I think he's a good player. I think he's a little bit overrated. I think he's an okay player, above average player, but really the set pieces is the crown jewel, right? You've gone and got Calvin Phillips, who's an out and out defense midfielder. You bought specialists, and what we did is we said we need a 9, we need an 8. We're kind of stuck for money. Let's get someone that can do a bit of both. And in doing that, we don't have a specialist. He's not a specialist striker. He's not a specialist 8. He's a specialist shithouse. He can cause problems, but he's not really a specialist at one thing. And you guys have gone and bought 3 or 4 or 5 players that are, or even loaned them in, like you have with Calvin Phillips, and they're real specialists at what they do. And so everyone's got a really set job. And so you haven't replaced Declan Rice. What you've done really smartly, actually, what Moyes has done is not try to replace Declan Rice with another Declan Rice. That's what a lot of people do. They'll sell Saka. It's not possible. He goes, right, you know what? Let's just rejig this whole midfield. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We've got Paqueta here, who's just a phenomenon. He's the maestro in the midfield, and let's support him with some good support, good defensive support around him, and let him express himself. And so now that whole midfield looks a bit different, and I really rate that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, one name that you haven't mentioned either is Edson Alvarez as well. I think he's quality. Oh, you mentioned him. Sorry. I must have missed it. But yeah, I think he's one player that's come in. And again, we haven't, you nailed it there. We haven't necessarily tried to fill the Declan Rice hole with one person. We filled it with an array of players. And as I said, I think I said it earlier, the biggest compliment that I can pay the recruitment team, David Moyes and David Sullivan, is that we haven't necessarily missed Declan Rice this season. I mean, one thing I do want to address, though, obviously you said about James Ward-Prowse obviously being an above average player with just the set pieces. I mean, he's got 5 goals this year. None of them come from set pieces. And I mean, he's got 6 assists in the league. A lot of them have been from corners and kind of played to the strengths of West Ham. But I think he's playing his way into an England squad. Would you guys call him up?
I think he should have played for England a while ago. I can't lie. I think it's one of those things that football fans, like you said, are fickle. And they're always going to value and favor players who play for a bigger team, quote unquote. And Ward-Prowse obviously applied his trade at Southampton. He was amazing for them for years. Now he's gone to West Ham. He's going to have more eyes on him, but it's just one of those things that if he played for any other team, I think he gets that call up probably 4 years ago. And we're so lucky that Moyes did not get a head of specialist, because you would probably be fighting a little bit higher in the league if you just had that. With Alvarez shoring everything up and Ward-Prowse just sending him crazy crosses, it could have been crazy. It could have been crazy.
They got Suchek as a very, very good target.
yeah,
very good target.
He's loving it.
I think we can all talk about Southgate. It's the way Southgate manages that team, right? Southgate's got his favourites, and it's almost like there's this. They talk about the class of 92. They talk about these different classes. It's like he's got this class of players and he's obsessed with winning something with these specific players, because there's a bunch of players that you could throw names out there of. And England's always had this strange hierarchy of, to me, and I'm an Arsenal fan, I'm a big Six fan, it defeats the object of football that just because somebody plays for Arsenal, they should come through. And, people used to banter us when we said Saka should be knocking on the door for the England team. They used to laugh at that. Now I think him, Harry Kane, Declan Rice, they're some of the first names on the team sheet. The fact of the matter is, regardless of what we say for an hour of this show, we know that Harry Maguire is going to go on the plane and probably start. It doesn't matter what he does for Man United. That is going to happen. We are about 80% sure that Jordan Henderson is going to go, and he's not even playing top-level football at this particular moment. So I don't know if Jordan Henderson goes as a coach and actually we free up that space to, especially against some of the more athletic teams, and put someone in like a James Ward-Prowse. To me, I know that we have great set piece takers in England. We have James Ward-Prowse, Kieran Trippier, Trent Alexander-Arnold. But for me, I think, again, you have specialist players that he's got to be on the plane. There's got to be some of those moments. Gareth Southgate will take to a World Cup or to a Euros 4 right backs. They're not all going to play. There will be at least 4 right backs in the squad. That's a fact. That's how he manages. He'll play 3 right backs in a game. He'll play Trippier, Walker and Trent in DM and something like that. So because he plays like that, he doesn't really free. This is why we see lots of great English talent flee. I know it's about James Ward-Prowse, keep on the topic, but we see great English talent go into other countries because they know they're just not going to get a look in. And if you're sitting there, if you're a young player, if you're a if you're a Jared Bowen or something, you're training with James Ward-Prowse every day, and you see him and go, this guy's phenomenal. This guy is like, I've played with Declan Rice, but James Ward-Prowse is right there. He's really, really good. And you see he's not got a chance. You look at yourself and go, how much of a chance do I have? Jared Bowen is very much in with a shout. There's been periods of the season where he's been competitive with Saka, maybe better when Saka's dropped off performance-wise. He's in for a shot. There's lots of players, but the guy, Southgate's too strict. But I think James Ward-Prowse absolutely deserves a shout to go in there. In fact, James Ward-Prowse is going to play better to the rest of the season. He's going to play more consistently and better than Calvin Phillips. And in the summer, Calvin Phillips will be on the plane and James Ward-Prowse won't. And he'll be scratching his head.
That's true, actually. Now, guys, we're going to bring it back to the topic and why we're actually here. Let's talk this weekend. It's a huge game for you guys. You guys haven't beat us in three games, I should say. And what I will add, I've probably seen 2 poor performances in Declan Rice's career, I should say. One of them was in the cup against us, and one of them was in the league against us. And I think outside of that, I don't think I ever saw him put a bad performance in for a West Ham shirt. And I'm not exaggerating with that. You guys can attest to that. He's the biggest 8 out of 10 and above player that you can find. How are you feeling going into this one? Because we are becoming your bogey team slowly.
I think high off the Liverpool motion, because we had that bad run of form. Obviously, you're bantering me, and I think it gets like that a little bit through. Every team is going to have a month where they're just off form. It's really hard to be consistent throughout a 38 game season, like it just is. Yeah. And I think we had our bad run of form over December, but the bounce back started, and then we played Liverpool. Obviously, we won that game, and that game was a 6-pointer. People always talk about like, over celebration, all of this, and it's like that game kept us in the title race. Winning that game means so much more than most other games so far. So I think riding off those emotions, we need to go on a long run. And let's be real, when your rivals are City, and City are obviously probably going to go unbeaten to the rest of the season, that means you've got to be flawless. So we can't afford to lose. But yeah, I'm not feeling too bad about it. It's probably overconfidence because we just played Liverpool, but I'm not feeling too bad about it.
Well, what I will say is, and the comments are kind of agreeing with me here, that the last game we actually won in competitive football was on the 28th of December against you boys. We haven't won this year. So,
you guys have been crap, especially in that Man United game. You guys were crap.
Yeah, I really needed you to bat United and stay above them, man. That annoyed me.
So I never particularly look forward to playing Arsenal, just because I feel like you do have genuine quality in your side. And I'm not particularly looking forward to this one. I was at the game last year where we went 2-0 down straight away and then gave away a penalty. And thankfully, Saka missed the penalty, and it led to us, bringing a comeback. I know that probably brings a lot of heartbreak for you guys because it was the start of the end of your season, really. But yeah, I'm really not looking forward to this Sunday. I think if we can get a draw out this game, I'm an optimistic West Ham fan at the best of times, but if we can get a draw out of this game, it will be a huge result for us. And I imagine you guys are just predicting wins, right?
Yeah, I would say so. I think the main thing I would question you for and ask you this is that I think last year when you played us and it was the 2-2 game, there was the incentive, and the incentive was pretty much you guys staying up at that point because you was in a relegation battle to some extent. The same maybe when we played you in the Carabao Cup, which was, again, the incentive was going through to the next round of the Cup. I mean, every time I question this, what are West Ham currently playing for at the moment? What's the main thing that's driving them to say, okay, this is what we're fighting for at this moment. This is what we need to go that extra mile for, that we can't be satisfied with just a draw. We need to win. I would question you and ask you that. Like, what is it that West Ham are playing for at this moment of time?
Well, I think it's a difficult one, really, because when you look at the Premier League table, from 6th to 11th, there's 7 points between them, those teams. And I think West Ham are, we're sitting 7th on 36 points, 2 points behind United after the win on the weekend. But, I think probably the goal for West Ham is probably just to solidify top half football and try and get into Europe next season. And with that comes, needing to pick up results, and that's against the smaller teams. And unfortunately, in our last couple of games, we've played Bournemouth drawn to them, and Sheffield United, we drew to them as well. So what are we playing for? That's the question. I think just solidifying top half football, and I think our season will really come alive again when we start seeing the European games. But again, to get far into that competition, it's going to be incredibly difficult, because you're going to have a revitalized Liverpool who are going to want to go out on a blaze of glory with Klopp, and also you've got the potential Klopp understudy of Xabi Alonso at Bayer Leverkusen, who isn't having a bad season himself. So there's a lot of big teams left in that. I mean, Lawrence has got an opinion here saying, my opinion will be battling for 6th to 8th after the transfer window. 6th is hard. Lack of depth will hurt us. I couldn't agree more. If we was to, I think we have to temper our expectations, and kind of, it's this may seem depressing to you guys, but as a West Ham fan, in 31 years of supporting the club, I feel like I'm in the glory years. And I know those glory years comparatively to your glory years are not comparative, because we're not winning major silverware year in, year out. But, you're just getting European football 3 years in a row for us, and getting the opportunity to go see a midweek game in Europe. That's the goal for the club now, and I feel like that has to be the goal going forward. And I would hate us not being in Europe next year. So I think getting in those European spots, so anywhere from like 6th to 8th, because it's looking like I believe the top 5 on coefficient could end up being Champions League this year. So
yeah, if it stays, I think if us and City progress, then it's looking likely that it will be the top 5 teams that will end up going into Champions League.
Yeah. How about you then, Nick? So are you expecting a win?
No, I'm expecting a slapping. I'm not going to lie. Listen, on a level, look, we had our bad run at Christmas, innit? And like I say, normally January is awful for us. We're looking for reinforcements desperately and all the rest of it. We were told pretty early from Mikel, not pretty early, we're told in the last week of Jan, signings ain't happening. Do you know what I'm saying? We've been working, but not for now. There's nothing happening. So we're like, cool. We lost to Liverpool on the 7th of, I'm just looking at results, lost to Liverpool on the 7th of Jan. Since then, we've had 3 league games. Against Palace, we scored 5. Against Nottingham Forest away, we scored 2. And against Liverpool at home, we scored 3. Conversely, for you guys, before I've taken out the Man United game, the last 3 home games, you scored 1 at home against Bournemouth, which was a draw.
Yeah.
And then you scored 1 at home in FA Cup against Bristol City, which was also a draw. And then you were at home to Brighton, 0-0 draw. So even if you guys are scoring, you're not scoring more than 1.
Just on that though, there is kind of background information to that. Obviously, Mohamed Kudus was missing for a large portion of that. Jared Bowen was injured.
Jamie,
Lucas
Jamie, we don't care.
That's our front three. That's our front three. That's what I'm saying. They're back now.
I'm seeing Kufar picking up red cards. I'm seeing Ben Rama picking up red cards. Do you know what I'm saying? Teams looking rattled. Do you know what I mean?
You're not seeing Ben Rama anymore.
You man ain't scored. Yeah, you said it, not me, like that. So for me, no, but on a level, even away from that, I know you guys have been a good team earlier on in the season, but I'm not seeing you guys. I don't know if we'll keep a clean sheet against you, but I back us to outscore you. Since the FA Cup Liverpool game, we've been so free flowing and scoring goals. Nottingham Forest made it very, very difficult for us, and we still managed to score 2 goals. When we're playing very good football, it's not that teams can't score. It's typical Arsenal. Not that teams can't score against us, but we will outscore you. Do you know what I mean? We'll go to these games and be expecting to score 3s and 4s. That's what I'm expecting. I wouldn't be surprised to see a 3-1 or even a 4-1, honestly, because I think we're so free flowing.
I don't know if I agree with you, mate. I think you're talking about free flowing football and whatnot, but I think you're 7th in the league in terms of goals scored at the moment, aren't you?
Our defense is peak. We haven't even spoken about our defense. I was giving you a charity goal. But if you want to be like that, I'm going to level with you, bro. It's going to be 3-1. You like that.
Well, that's the
you
thing.
Lot are confident. You lot are very confident. Nick, you're confident.
I said we're going to beat Liverpool 3-2.
I'm not really. I'm not really confident.
I said we were going to beat Liverpool 3-2, and then we end up beating them 3-1. So I am confident. And even if it is a scrappy game, then we just got to see. If we see Havertz up top, it could be scary hours for your defenders. I'm just saying.
I just want to win a trophy this season, and I'm just looking at every game ahead and just praying we win in it.
Which trophy?
Anything could happen with Arsenal.
Which trophy are you looking at this season?
At this stage, you got a greater chance of winning Champions League than Premier League.
That's what I said.
I'm being so serious. I'm being so serious.
It sounds crazy because it's more prestigious, but we don't even mean it, Jamie. We didn't even mean it from a prestige way. We just mean it from a logical way. Klopp has given
Liverpool the spiritual boost, yeah. And you know he did that because I don't think Klopp expected to be in the title race this season. Like I generally don't. I think he would have been happy with top 3-4. And then when he got to December and he clocked the top of the league, I think he thought, oh, just okay, all right. I better tell them I'm leaving. So they play their hearts out for us and do the mad thing. And then when it comes to City had their terrible start to the season. There was some City fans saying it's time for Pep to go. Obviously now they've turned it on, and you just know they're not losing for the rest of the season. That's it. So everything now is an uphill battle. Like, so it's not that I don't think we can't win the league, because I actually do think we can win the league. We just have to be absolutely faultless. Like the second we lose or draw a game, that my emotions are just shattered. They're all over the place. Whereas with the Champions League, you obviously it really is a knockout tournament game by game. And I think, like, obviously we got to play some big teams, but I think we're at a stage right now that we can give anyone a game. Like, we genuinely can give anyone a game. And teams in Europe are not doing what teams in the Prem are doing. Teams in the Prem are starting to respect us, and they're locking up shop. Everyone in Europe is like, oh, you ain't been in Europe for a while. Yeah. They're like, you ain't been in Champions League for a while. You guys, you're not those guys. Like,
they don't double up on Saka or Martinelli or nothing.
Just the freedom.
The same way Jamie said, like, Jamie, you guys have got players coming back. We have, and I'm not talking about Chelsea. I'm not talking about a game against West Ham here. I'm just talking about just generally for the final run of the season. We have Thomas Partey coming back. We have Jurriën Timber coming back. We have Smith Rowe coming back. We still have Fabio Vieira to come back. So we have a bunch of, and those guys, it's not a question of those guys coming and being starters and Martinelli's going to get dropped because of Smith Rowe. What we're saying is that allows us to be A, tactically much more flexible, and B, allows us to rest players, get players, and B, there was a point earlier on in the season where we knew what the 11 was going to be every single week. Going into that Liverpool game was the first time in ages we went, I don't know what this 11 is going to be actually. There's a few different options here, and that's where we need to get to. And if we can get everybody firing, Jorginho's barely kicked a ball, but he comes in and gives a borderline man of the match performance against Liverpool. If we can keep that type of performance level up with these new players coming back, I'm telling you, it could be scary hours.
Okay, well, I'm going to pressure you guys for a score prediction. What are you saying?
3-1.
3-1. Okay, go on, Chris.
Do I move mad or move logical? You pick.
Do both.
All right.
Always mad.
All right, cool. I'm gonna move mad, but I do think it is kind of logical to some extent. I think 2-0.
To us, right?
Yeah, to us. Yeah, I think 2-0 to us.
Okay, what about you, Scully?
Bowen back, Kudus back, yeah?
Yeah, they're both back, yeah.
Don't care, 3-0.
Ah!
There we go. Lawrence has got some thoughts. 2 white hammers with the Rice own goal.
Rice, the thing is, Rice can score an own goal, yeah, because he's going to score at the other end anyway. Do you know what I'm saying? He's going to score edge of the box, Rice.
Do you know what? I don't even mind if he gets a little rest this game, because I think the emotions get the better of him in this game.
Jamie, do your fans boo him?
Remember Thomas Partey's got. I think your fans did boo him actually.
Your fans boo him, don't they?
In the cup game, a lot of fans booed him. I wasn't one of those.
Why?
It's again, I'm quite a logical West Ham fan, mate. It's not something you'll find me doing. I think a lot of the discourse around fans booing him was through the way he left. He obviously went to a rival, and whether you guys like it or not, if a player from West Ham goes to Arsenal, there's always going to be some fans are going to have an issue with that. And then I think it's also one thing I didn't like, of course, is the way he kind of spoke when he left. Like, obviously, like in his first few games, he was singing North London Forever and everything. And then a week after moving to Arsenal, he starts saying like, "Oh, I met Arteta and I've just found out what football was," as if like David Moyes didn't do anything for his career. So I think some of those comments and that have kind of
that's emotion, man. That's emotion.
It's funny, man. What did you want it to do?
I'm emotional. I met Arteta, but it meant nothing.
You know what the equivalent of that is, JB? It's like literally, yeah, you go into Nando's and then you having ketchup all the time, and then the one time you decide to switch it up and get Peritema or something along those lines, to get some Perinese sauce or something, and you're like, "Oh, there's different flavors here. I like this one." That's exactly what it was.
He has to adhere himself to our fan base.
What did you want him to do though? Like, did you want him to reach Emirates and start singing "I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles" like when he was coming out the tunnel? Like,
I'm a very logical fan. I understand that he has to do that, but it doesn't make it any more palatable as a West Ham fan. You have to understand.
I do get it. And I respect Moyes. I'm a Moyes truther. I think I genuinely believe, and I've said for years, that if United just stuck with Moyes for 2 years, they'd be in a better position today than they are right now. But I also do think Arteta is a crazy manager. And I think rival fans obviously devalue the job he's done at Arsenal. I think people forget how bad we were in 2019-2020 season. Like, we were in the pits. Like, genuinely, I've never been so depressed as a fan. I have friends who stopped watching football because of the level that we got to. And obviously it's relative, right? So our low point is a lot of teams like best ever. Like, I know, I've got mates who are like Palace fans. Our lowest point is like a great season for them. But for us, it was like, yo, we can't chat to United. We can't chat to Chelsea. We can't talk to none of our rivals. It's awful. And Arteta has actually turned that around. So I get why rival fans don't like him. We've been a team that you've been able to mock for half a decade minimum. And he's turned us into a team that competes. Like, I would hate him too. I genuinely would hate the next manager. If a manager comes to Chelsea and makes them a serious football institution again, God forbid, but if that was to happen, I would hate that manager with all of my heart. Like, I understand it. So it is what it is.
Remember that Thomas Partey goal against Nottingham Forest? Remember that Thomas Partey banger against Nottingham Forest? Rolled edge of the box, top right. Declan Rice, bro.
He needs to break the yoke. He honestly 100%. Does.
Yeah, he needs to have a good game.
He's not even going to think about it. He's going to start celebrating and then realize and see Jamie staring at him.
Let me ask you a question then. I mean, if Bukayo Saka was to leave Arsenal and let's just say he's got a distinguishable chant. Let's say he went to Liverpool. If Saka went to Liverpool tomorrow and he started singing "You'll Never Walk Alone," would that sit right with you?
It would depend.
It wouldn't sit right with you. Come on, let's have it right.
I just had a conversation at work today about Van Persie. I know it's different because not like academy products and stuff, but when you say the way that he left, I think the way Van Persie, because I despise him. I don't even like the Birds, Robins. I don't like anything. So the way that he left, I think was disrespectful. To be like he's never he talked down on us. Do you know what I'm saying? It was like, I went to United to win big trophies, and as soon as I walked into the gates, I knew what winning was, and I was in. Declan Rice never said anything negative. He's said things positive about Arsenal, but I think that's different to if he said something negative about West Ham, and that's where I think the difference. And if Saka went and sung "You'll Never Walk Alone," I don't think that would bother me. But if he said something negative about Arsenal, then I would be pissed.
I'll take it one step further. I'm personally, I got feelings against Fabregas. As much as he was great and I loved him, enjoy his time there. No, I loved his time here, yeah. But all of that wearing the Barca shirt and that, it's a bit like having a girlfriend, yeah, but you're going on dates to decide that you're going to ask out when you eventually get the balls to break up with your girlfriend. That's what Fabregas did. Because as much as that, I hate RVP, yeah, but at least RVP turned around and said, you know what, I'm done. I'm moving out tomorrow. My bag's packed.
Fabregas went home.
Fabregas was still taking us on date night and that. Telling us, it's all good. It's all good. All of this.
He wanted to come back. After Barcelona, he wanted to come back. The club wants to bring him back.
Too late. I can't trust you again. My heart was broken.
But also, Jamie, as well, North London Forever is a banger. Come on, wouldn't you want to sing that? Come on, let's be honest.
You can't.
That's a banger.
If it was called East London Forever,
I bet Jamie sings East London Forever in his home.
East London Forever sounds like it's got a bit of a ring to it.
Course.
North London, now. I'm not feeling that. Right, just to round this out, guys, I got one last question from Alan. Now, just an honest question, boys. If Arteta was to leave Arsenal, would you take David Moyes as your manager? And be honest.
No.
Are you mad?
No.
Are you mad?
No way.
David Moyes. Okay, and I'll build on that. Does David Moyes not have a better management CV than Arteta right now?
Yeah, he does.
He's also got about 40 years on him.
Yeah.
He's got 1,000 games in management. You don't get 1,000 games in management if you're a chump.
No one said he's a chump. I just feel like he doesn't have the chops to manage a Big Six club. There's a lot of things that go. When you manage a Big Six club, you need all of the management. And unfortunately, smaller teams might not understand. They might think it's a bit silly, but you need a bit of charisma. It becomes like being a politician. I saw Eric Ten Hag do his first interview when he signed with Manchester United. And he was very hostile to the media. And I said, this is going to come back to bite him in the arse, because as soon as things go bad for him, they're going to jump on him. They're going to run him out of town. And listen, David Moyes is a very, very good manager. I'm not going to say like a top manager, but he's a very good manager, very respectable manager. Managed Arteta himself. So
taught Arteta a lot. I'm never going to deny
Arteta a lot. Arteta speaks very positively about him and stuff like that. So I respect him. It's not a disrespect, but I think the charm, the charisma, the man management, the sense of direction. We need someone that can. The managing the Cronkies. You have to really. You see a lot of managers get bullied by the owners. You need someone with the right type of chops to push back against that. A lot of that is character, not just tactical. As a tactician, if you want to have a conversation about Arteta versus Moyes, I don't mind having that debate. But as an overall manager and as a long-term project manager, I don't think so. Not at this level.
I'll take it a step further. Like I said, I like Moyes, and I even disagree with it. I think Moyes had a bit of the charm and like the range to manage a bigger club.
Maybe
10 years ago. But I think the time is gone, and I think.
Yeah, Man United gave him the lurgies. Man United gave him the lurgies.
I think he's a bit tired. He's got a bit of PTSD. Yeah. I don't think he's going to retire immediately soon, but I think he's definitely probably in the twilight of his career.
Like he's in that I got a point to prove type of.
No, I think that's gone. I think if he wasn't, I've got a point to prove. Then yeah, but I think he's West Ham is perfect because you can do stuff where you compete for certain trophies. I wouldn't be surprised if they finish this season strongly enough. If he's like, all right, cool, I'm going all in for a Carabao or an FA next season. Like he could compete for certain trophies, but there's also not the intense scrutiny, like you're saying, of an Arsenal or a Chelsea or Liverpool. Those big clubs where if you're not getting results quick enough and people can't see process or progress, then they're on you.
This is a man who managed the same club for like 15 years and won no trophies.
True.
And also okay, but let's temper expectations because he also got Everton Champions League football, which is no mean feat.
Okay, cool. But the one thing you would always say with David Moyes is, does he even have a style of play?
It's pragmatic, but it gets results. Like I mean, the way we play football at West Ham, it clearly does get results.
That works. Like that wouldn't work for us.
Nah. He's got a style.
What's his
style? Set piece specialist, big man.
But Scully, I'll say that to you. That same that style of play is pretty much the same copy and paste that the majority of British managers have. To be honest with you,
it's true. But Moyes is a master of it. He gave us such hits, such as Fellaini.
I was gonna say, bruv, man's not trying to,
Moyes is I actually think we're so spoiled in terms of managerial expectations and what we fans of bigger clubs, what we want from managers, that we underrate like these kind of managers. Obviously he's past the twilight. He's way past his bedtime. But of Roy Hodgson, a Moyes, even Big Sam in his pomp, like these managers had something that they could go head to head with a couple of these other foreign managers with their fancy styles. I just think for Moyes, his time is he's happy, man. He's done it. He's had a great time. The Prem is literally been like what 30, 35 years. Like
the Arsenal job would kill him. It'd be too stressful. It'd actually kill him. Relax.
We've seen the Arsenal. It killed Wenger's relationship. Like come on.
Yeah.
Right. People forget it killed Freddie Ljungberg.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
In like 6 months.
Yeah, 6 months. It was about 6 weeks. Yeah. 3 games.
That's crazy. Right, guys, I'm going to round it out here with a comment from Lawrence. Good show, mates. Thank you to all the panel and for having a respectful discussion about both teams. Jokes were great too. Now, thanks for jumping on, guys. Obviously, this has been the West Ham Network. I'm your host, Jamie Talksport. Where can everyone find you?
Is That Scully everywhere? Just everywhere. Just type in Is That Scully on some form of social media. You'll find me.
Okay.
Yeah, Nick J. Francis, Instagram and YouTube, Nick J. Francis, Arsenal content, boxing content. See me there.
Nice. And yourself,
Chris the Capo as well on everything except Snapchat, because I think that's a young boy's.
Let me shout out the podcast as well. International Clearance.
Yes.
International Clearance.
Talk about international clearance. Just say the latest episode that you guys had.
So we got Cam from English Players Abroad. International Clearance is a podcast I do with my boy Joe Walker, big Palace fan, and we talk to football players and managers who have played the beautiful game abroad. Kind of like what we were saying about Moyes, we like to see the contrast of like playing styles and like the culture in different cities and countries and what people have learned. And you can get updated in all the transfer news of or English players in foreign countries.
100%. They had a really good episode recently with Peter Crouch, right?
Yes, big up Crouchy.
I listened to that episode. It's a great listen. So if you want to go catch that, guys, what's it called again, Scully? One more time.
International Clearance. INTL Clearance.
Okay. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. I've been Jamie Talks, and I'll catch you next week at 9 p.m. on the West Ham Network. Thank you very much.